So you only get until the Sunday night. It's that 48-hour gap, or the 48-hour extension, and then that's when it's due. After that, unless you get an extension of that and have it approved, you get 0 after that, unless you have an approved extension. Does that make sense? My assignment has a lot of paraphrasing. Do I have to add every single citation for my paragraph? Yeah. So as a rule with referencing, right, and this is academic integrity, if you get the information that you're using from somewhere else, you have to reference it. All right. Paraphrasing is the preferred method of how we want you to include references, but you have to actually put in the citation as well. Is that clear, time? And your reference list has to include every reference that you've used. Yep, that's fine. And also, can I make sure that you're all very clear about this? Because we talked about it last week, but just in case people have forgotten. Hi, Sean. With the paraphrasing and the referencing, we want you to paraphrase because it makes it easier to include that into your style, your writing style, right? If you did it as a direct quote, it's hard to incorporate it into your assignment. But if you paraphrase it, you can write it in your own words, and then it's easier to include it in your assignment as long as you reference it. The key thing about that paraphrasing, remember the video we watched? If you type in QUT paraphrasing video, you'll watch that video from the library where it shows you the different styles of paraphrasing, and it clearly says to you, don't just change some words in the sentence because that's not enough, all right? You're still using the original work just with a couple of minor changes. Don't risk that. I can't be more serious about that because that comes up as plagiarism as well. So you have to be really careful because otherwise you've all been warned from the first assignment. So now you have to just be really careful and make sure you do it all properly. If you get confused, go back to SiteWrite and have a look. And SiteWrite will show you what it is that you've got to do. Also, the library can help you with that as well. If you've just joined us, we're talking about the assignment. If you can answer the poll for me as well, how are you going with your assignment? Okay, haven't started. I have questions. If you're finished, you can tell me as well. But if you can just update that poll for me, that would be great. So there's a lot of people that haven't finished it yet. 7 people to go. And if you have any questions, now's a really good time to ask a question. All right. Altavino, Hamish, where are you up to? Lee Young, Maeve. What about the similarity check? How many % do you consider to be plagiarism? Well, it's not about how high it is, it's what it is. So the way that similarity check works is if everyone's using the same format, the same template, it will naturally be higher. But what I'm looking for when I'm looking at the plagiarism is if I see big blocks of color, so there's whole sentences or paragraphs that have been copied out, that's an issue, all right? So that's why I'm saying just write it in your own words and then you don't have a problem. But if you just are trying to sort of take a shortcut and just change a little bit, it won't work because the system picks it up really quickly. It picks it up instantly. I can tell straight away, All right, and you can tell straight away too. Yeah, that's fine. If it picks up the reference list, that's okay. That's no problems at all. So when we look at it, it's not about how much percentage it is or how much the number is. That flags it for us, but it's more about what it actually is rather than what the numbers are. Good question though, because people do think, oh, if it's below 25, it's all right. If it's below 30, it's okay. Well, it may not be. You might still have major issues, but you know, hopefully not. All right, why have we still got 8 people that haven't responded? Can we quickly give us an answer, please, on the poll? Hamish asks, 4 definitions, I'm citing them all properly and referencing them, but I use a few of them almost word for word. Yeah, that's fine, as long as you do it properly and you have a citation for them. The problem happens when you're using other people's work and you don't acknowledge it. That's where we have problems. If you're acknowledging it, that's fine. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Any other questions? Now's a good time to ask. That's good, Hamish. Thank you for that. All right, 8 people haven't responded. Li Yang, Maeve, Fung, T, Tony, Fo Jinru, where are you? What are you doing? Quick answers, please. Where are you up to with your assignment? If you have a question, ask now and I'll give you the answer, or we'll find the answer together so that we all know. Anything else? No? All right, let's get on with today then. Oops. All right, so first of all, we haven't done a clap yet. Let's do that. All right, so microphones on, please, quick. We'll do a big clap. Wake ourselves up. All right, everyone quickly. I'll count you in a moment. We need more people than that. Turn your mic on quickly, please. All right, we're not going to wait for everyone today. Otherwise, we'll be waiting all the time. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Should make you do star jumps as well. All right, turn your mics off again now. Thank you. All right, we're not going to do breakout rooms. We're going to do this all together because there's only 17 of us. Are you a text person or a call person? Put it in the chat and why. Do you prefer to call them and talk to them, or do you prefer to text them? And why do you choose what to do? How can you choose it? What do you think? Do you prefer to text people, or do you like to call them, or when do you do either? Type it up for me, or you can jump online and you can tell me as well on the audio if you want to. Bo, why are you a text person? Who do you text? Do you prefer to always text, or is it sometimes you like to call people as well? Which do you think? Why do you do what you do? Depends on the person, but generally text because it's easier. Yeah, because sometimes you don't want an interaction, do you? I just want to tell you, I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, exactly. Li Yang, call person. Li Yang, why are you a call person? Why do you like calling people? Just add a bit more for me. Vo says, if something's necessary, I prefer to call. Altavino says, depends on the situation. Tell me more about that then. What's the situation? What depicts that or defines that? Time's a text person because then I can plan my text ahead of time. That's an interesting point. The interesting part of that is that thinking on the spot, right? When you're in a call, you've got to think immediately. You can't edit what you're saying. You've got to have it ready to go and say it. Whereas the text, you can sit there and you can look at it, you can edit it, and you can sit there and go, oh, okay, no, I don't want to say that exactly. I want to say it like this. And then it can get a little confusing, you know? Or you could be a little bit unsure as to what you're doing. What else have we got? Because calls can let me talk more and clearly. See, Young's the other way. That's interesting. Everyone's a little different and everyone has their own ways of doing things. Versus if something necessary, I prefer to call, shouldn't text because I'll miss the phone call. Ah, right, yeah, because it's on notifications, right? Yeah. The Young, because call lets me talk more and clearly. Yeah, Ivy says, text person, people are busy. Texting is a busy way to share my daily life. They can read when they're free. That's interesting too, Ivy. That's an interesting way of thinking about it, right? So, back in the day when I started working, I think I told you this, the way we used to work was you'd have your computer and you'd have a printer and you'd have to print everything out and fax it, right? There wasn't email at the time. Email was still sort of coming in. And so you had to sort of get yourself really organized, type everything up, and then fax it off. But if you didn't want to do that, you just do it all as a call. And so you just ring everyone and just talk to them, and then everyone would make their own notes. Then you might follow that up with a fax, but the fax wasn't the first point of contact. Usually a phone call was, and then you would confirm it with a fax if you needed to make sure there was documentation to support it. Then that became just an email, right? So that's interesting over time how it's changed, that now to instigate something, to get something started, you would actually do it as an email and that's enough. But also with things like Slack and WeChat and WhatsApp, that's now changed as well because that's become a more immediate like message, if you like. And so sometimes that is demanding or requiring a faster response. So that's interesting how things have changed. I remember a friend of mine was saying when they went to Hong Kong, they wanted to line up a meeting. They were about a week away from turning up or 2 weeks away from going up there. And they wanted to organize a meeting with someone. And they were like, oh, no, don't try and organize that now. Just when you land, just message me and we'll make a time then. And they were like, oh, but what if they can't? And they went, oh, no, that it'll happen. We'll make it happen. You just have to, just don't plan that far out. So that's interesting as well. El Tavino says, call when I'm too lazy to type. Yeah, I don't mind calling. If I need something to happen, like now, I will call. But sometimes systems don't allow that either. Levine, when I need a response quickly, I try to communicate by phone. Most of the time send messages. Personal calls may disturb others and texting other people. Yeah, and I think it's up to the individual too, that they have to manage their access as well. So if you don't want to take the call, don't take the call. So most of the time people's phones are on silent, aren't they? I think mine's on silent most of the time, so I don't even see the messages, especially when I'm teaching. I don't see them at all. Interesting, isn't it? Over time that changes, and through your working life, that will change as well. As the technology comes more advanced, running along from that sort of trend. How do you feel when you don't have your phone or your phone runs out of battery? How do you feel when your phone runs out of battery? You use your PC, yeah? What else? How do other people feel? You don't have access to your phone. Disconnected, yeah, literally. What else? Does anyone feel a bit anxious? It's like, oh no, how am I, what if I miss something? Oh, that's good, Levine. Yep. That's okay. Find something else to do. Sometimes when you're disconnected, it's actually quite nice because you don't. I'll tell you a quick story. I've decided to buy an iPod, right? So remember the old iPods with the click wheels? So I've decided I'm going to build one. So I've gone and bought all the pieces to build an iPod, the old ones from a company in the US, and I've had a look at the videos, and I think I can do it. Got a little toolkit, and I'm going to build my own iPod. So I've got all the parts, hasn't turned up yet. So it's going to be black on the front. It's going to be purple wine color on the back. It's going to have a 256 SD card as the hard drive. And it's going to have all the enhanced music processing abilities on it as well. So I'm very excited about that. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is that whole concept of being disconnected, right? So I was telling my daughters about it and said, oh, I'm going to buy this bunch of parts and build an iPod. And they're like, why? I said, does it connect to the internet? I said, no. And they were like, well, what's the point of it? And I was like, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's the whole point of it, is that it's not connected to the internet. You don't have to have it connected. You've got all your music library that you've bought, which I've got about 800 CDs, so I do have a fair bit of music, that I just want to have on a device that doesn't have any notifications. I don't want notifications. So when I get that, I'll build it, hopefully, and it works, hopefully. Hopefully I can get that right. I'll show you, I'll post up an image when I do it. But yeah, it's becoming I would post this, right? Suggest this, that I think retro iPods are going to be a big thing, right? So in 6 months' time, when you see everything as a retro iPod, I reckon that's going to be a thing. Anyway, let's see. So today, we're going to talk about your next assignment and get you thinking about that. We're also going to think about a project timeline and making sure you get your 1.2 completed as well. Let's talk about assignment 2. I know this is a bit confusing because it's got assignment 1.1 and 1.2, then there's 2. So this isn't the one that's due this week. This is, pardon me, this is the one that's due after that you haven't started yet. So let's have a look at that, because you probably haven't read anything about it yet, and that's okay. So the next part of the semester becomes your own creative project. So we mentioned this last week, but we want to progress it a little bit further today as well. So we want to do your own creative project. We continue on and we guide you, but you're also your own project manager as well. So we want to create a platform to help in the planning of your creative project. The reason why we're pushing for you to do some more planning with this is because the project takes a longer amount of time than just being able to sort of, chuck it together in a couple of days. You've actually got to spend a lot more time on it and a lot more planning than just focusing on it for a couple of days. So one way we can do this, and I'll give you some options as well. One way we can do this is to have what we would normally call a task list, right? So we have a process we're going to follow. So in order to get this planning off and running, we can do it as a Padlet, or we can also use something like a Trello. If you've used either of those. Have you heard of Trello before? Yes, no? No, some have, some haven't. So Trello, you can have a look at that, and we'll have a look, probably have a look at it in a minute. Some have, some haven't. That's okay. Padlet is what we use for education, but I might introduce you to the Trello as well, so you can choose which one you want to do. That's all right. So how about I show you what they look like to start with. You know what Padlet looks like because we've used that every week. How about I share a screen and we'll show you what Trello looks like, okay? All right, let me just get something organized in the background. All right, just going to share a screen for you so you can have a look. That. It's all right. So you can see my screen now, right? And you should be able to. See that. Yeah. I'm just moving things around so that I can see both things at the same time. All right. We're going to do that. The part we want to see is this. See these columns? So what you can do, you can have it something really simple as to do, doing, and done, or you can break them out down into phases of how you want to, like development or review or editing or whatever else. And you can create items, and you can attach images, you can attach files, you can make little descriptions in there as well. So that's Trello. Trello gets used a lot for project management, like for real, as in real businesses use it all the time. It's called a Kanban board, this style of work. You can do the same thing in Padlet as well if you want to. Works the same way, but Trello is more of is actually designed for project management, where Padlet is more for an educational sort of environment as well. So which one would you like to use? Do you want to have a go at Padlet, or do you want to have a go at Trello? Because the free one, you don't have to pay for it. Do you want to have a go at Trello? You want to do Padlet? Okay, that's fine. Either or. Righto. I don't mind. Whatever you do is up to you. It's more about what you put in it rather than what your choice is. So what we might do is I'll stop. That's all right. I'll stop sharing for a minute. I just thought I'd show you because it's people don't know. If I don't tell you, you don't know. All right, let's go back to the slides for a minute. All right. So you can use your Padlet to do the same thing. Now we've got a link for that. So we'll go and have a look at that. So in week 8, oh, we won't do that one. We'll do that a bit differently. It's all right. We'll do that a little differently. All right. So you can go to the Padlet site if you want to and sign up for it. Do you already have a Padlet or not? No? You don't know? All right, we'll find out pretty quickly. All right. So what we might do now, let's see what's on the next page. Oh, I think you can probably create one anyway. All right. You can use Trello or Padlet, I don't mind. But what I'd like you to do now, let's do it now. You can either go to Padlet or Trello. Let me get you the links. You can either use this one or this one, or you can use this one. Just copying the links for you. Hang on. That one or that one. Yeah. So what I want you to do is choose which one you want to do. And when you've signed up and you've got an account, I want you to share me the link. So email me the link, or you can send it to me on Slack, actually. That'd be good. Send it on Slack. I want you to share the document to me. Do you want me to show you how to do that, how to share it? Or do you want to work it out? We'll sign up for it first, and then I can show you if you need to, but I think you can probably work it out. So I'll give you 10 minutes to do that. So it'll take until about 10:42. Oh, okay. Liang, what we're doing is we're getting you to sign up for either a Trello or a Padlet, whichever you want to use. There's the links for it. Once you've done that, I want you to share it back to me via Slack. Okay, so create a wall or a Padlet or a Trello board, and then I want you to share it back to me. That's all right. Don't send it to me in here. Send it to me as a Slack message. That would be better, because otherwise, don't email me the link. Actually, send it to me as a Slack message. Share via Slack, because then I don't get all of you sending me emails, and it all lives in Slack. It'll be easier. All right, let's do that now. If you get stuck, let me know and I can help you. Otherwise, we'll give you a bit more time. We'll give you until 10:45. There we go. Time's already done it. Look at that. All right, let's do that. I'll turn the mic off for a bit. 10:45, and I'll put up a poll. Tell me when you finished. If you have finished, have a read through the A2 for me on Blackboard. Hi, Noddy, just send it to me via Slack, please. There we go. People are getting all organized. That's great. You forgot your Slack details, really? You can just do a recovery on it if you want. It's good to do a recovery on it because you will need that. Just do a forgot password request. I would have got you to use your KKD101, I suppose. So just check that. So update the poll for me when you've done it, when you've finished. You can use your KKD1, it doesn't matter. Lee Young, can you Slack it to me, please? Use Slack. Do you know how to use Slack? Remember in week 1? If you have a look, no, that's all right. Have a look on the side of Blackboard. There's a link to Slack. Let me have a look. Check that it's still there. Yep, it's still there. So join up with that and you can send it to me. Got it? Young, can you see it? No? So go to Blackboard. Hang on, I'll send you the link. Hang on. You should have done this earlier on, 8 weeks ago. There you go. Click on that link. See if that works for you. Is that working for you? Yeah, but there's a free version of that too, Levine. So you don't do a sign up, don't pay for it. Just use the free account, right? You can use 30 days free if you want to, but don't pay for it. Just use the free one. Young, what does that mean? What have you typed there? Oh, yep. Righto. Good, good. So once you've finished doing that, update the poll for me back here so I know you've finished. If you get stuck or you're not sure what to do, let me know. And don't be worried about what you don't know with new apps and so on, because there's always going to be something that you won't have used before. It's about how you approach it. And it's always a little bit, I don't know, a little bit, you can be a little bit unsure as to how it works. And I'm like, oh, I'm not used to it yet, or I'm not sort of comfortable with it yet. But just continue on, because once you use it a little bit, you'll be able to think in it. You'll be surprised how quickly. And a lot of these new apps now are quite intuitive, and that they're quite easy to use. And there's also guides for everything as well. So if you don't know how to do something, literally just type up what the question is, and there's usually, you know, a whole bunch of YouTube channels that tell you how to do it, or at least the help files will be able to point you in the right direction as well. All right, so we've got 6 people that are finished that should be reading their A2 task sheet. Got 12 people who haven't responded at all, and 2 people have said they're not finished yet. So who hasn't given me a response yet? Eltavino, Kaylin, Katsuki, Fung, Sean, T, Tony, Vo, Jinru, Zio. What are you up to? Let me know. Yeah, we'll be doing a little bit on that too. Did you have a question, Hamish? You can ask now if you want to. All right, couple of minutes left. For those that have finished, you can go on to this one if you want to. You can create a series of these weekly items across week 8 through to week 13. So you can create those in columns across the top, whether you're using Padlet or whether you're using Slack, not Slack, sorry, Padlet or Trello, either or. That works. Thanks, Noddy. Thanks, Deltavino. Can see that for Trello. Okay, so just update. Yeah, Kazuki, thank you. Kaylin, how are you going? Sean, Fung, T, Tony, Vo, Jinru, Zio, how are you guys going? We want to make sure that you're up to speed. So let me know. If you're not sure how to do something, just ask me and I can help you. 1 minute to go. So once you've signed up, whichever one you've done, put in those weeks, 8 through to 13. Hi Maeve, how are you? I know you were here before. Once you've done that, you can start, what you can do for homework from today is you can start putting in tasks that you need to do over the next couple of weeks. Now, a way to approach this is don't try and put everything in straight away because you might not be overly sure. But what you can do is have some general stuff like things that you do know. So you could have things like, let's say, due date. Start with that and you can work backwards. So due date would be a good one. Checking, proofreading. If you're going to use Studiosity, you'll need to use that earlier because they will have a certain timeline. You can put that in as something to remember. You can put in drafting. You can put in checking template or checking, type that properly, checking the format. You could type it, you could have researching. This isn't in order, obviously, but it's just general things you can do. So that's some of the things you can put in, right, to get you started. And then as you go through, you can make a list of things that you want to do. Something else that you can think of that you can think through is a concept of working called time boxing. Have you heard of that before? Time boxing? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of it. If you haven't, just let me know. No? So what time boxing is about is you allocate a task and you allocate a time for it. So you allocate a task and you set a time limit for it. So what that means is you might say, all right, I'm going to do this paragraph in the next hour. So complete the draft of this section in 1 hour, right? So that's time boxing. So rather than say I'm going to spend all morning writing it, it'll take you all morning, right? If you say you're going to spend an hour on it, you'll get that done in an hour. So that's a really good way to stay efficient and effective. So what you can do is you can plan out what it is that you need to work through in the steps of how you like to write. Then you can time box it and you can go, all right, I'm going to do this part in an hour or half an hour or 2 hours or whatever you're going to do. Keep it relatively short though, because then you've got a little bit of pressure on yourself to do it. And then that can help you work through it. Because when you think about it, when we say week 13 now, it's a long way away and you've got a lot of assessment due between now and then, but that's not the way to think about it. The way to think about it is to have some small tasks that are due every week, and then you can work on it every week, get a little bit more done, so you don't have to do everything in the last week and a half, right? Does that make sense? Maybe. Okay. Give it a try. You'll be surprised. So before we move on from this, make sure you save a link to whichever you're using. If it's Trello or if it's Padlet, make sure you know where it is so you can bookmark it. You can put it in a document. You can put it in your whatever you want to save it in, however you do things, so that you can find it again. All right. Okay, let's move on. So here's an example of your A2. So I'll have a look at a poster in a minute. We're going to call it an augmented poster. And this is an example of an augmented reality, virtual reality in the writing and publishing industry. So the things we want you to look at are the infographics, what's been written, and also the QR code. So have a look at it and have a look at the overall thesis statement. So remember, the thesis statement is, what are you trying to achieve? That's the thesis statement. So let's have a look. So, augmented reality in the publishing industry. I'll read this out to you. You can have a listen. Augmented reality is transforming the publishing industry by providing writers with innovative new methods of bringing text to life through integrating augmented reality imaging with literary pieces. What is AR? Augmented reality is the addition of digital elements into the physical world by combining interactive technology into real-world objects and scenarios. User sensory experience is enhanced. Popular examples of augmented reality include Pokemon Go, Google Live View, and Snapchat filters. This is an exploration of the current state of augmented reality and how augmented reality is shaping the future of publishing. So it's got a little did you know. Did you know, according to Yo 2020, in 2015, 59% of libraries' budgets worldwide were spent on commercial electronic information, so online stuff. So, publishing and the rise of digital content. Hello, how are you? Come in. As the digital industry explodes, the need for publishers to adapt to growing trends increases. Publishers are leaning away from hard copy print and are opting to shift their primary focus towards ebooks. According to Nitro, we'll call it, modern libraries' adaptation to publishing digitization indicates that libraries will not go extinct because of the digital shift, as previously predicted after all. This shift in the publishing industry is continuing to grow, meaning that content creators are no longer confined to one medium. This digital transformation is opening up opportunities for publishing companies and writers alike to expand into multiple platforms. This adaptation to online content includes AR books and AR integrated paperback novels. I won't read all of this because otherwise I'll lose my voice. But you've got some graphic elements there as well. And you've also got the QR code to scan as well. And I'm not sure what that QR code does actually. Let's have a look. Let's have a scan of it and see what it does. There we go. Have a look at the QR code and see what it does. Well, that's not good. They've turned it off anyway. So that's the sort of thing that you're making. That's the sort of poster that you're making, and they've got the references there at the bottom as well. So that's what we're aiming for. So any questions on that so far? This is really just an overview of what we're up to for the minute. Are we all good so far? I think you're probably still focusing on the 1.2, aren't you? I'd say so. All right, well, if you do, let me know. All right, so we're gonna have a quick 10-minute break. So let's start about 11:05, and then we'll see you in the other room, all right? So 11:05, and we'll continue on there, okay? All right, let's do that. See you soon.